Now.
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah. Right. Okay. We are actually, this is a new class. I hope you all are new batch to me, right? Have you done any modules with me before?
No.
Right. So this is a new batch, new class. So my subject is educational psychology. Okay. So for educational psychology, right. Somebody's background noise is proper. Please check if your background noise is good. You can actually mute your mic. Right. So, okay. Who is that? Are you? Please be mindful, men. Can you mute your mics? How can I start my lecture? I think it's Gajeswari. Gajeswari? Can you please mute your mic? Right, okay. And this is your subject, educational psychology. And first session is the introduction to educational psychology. So while listening to me and being in the discussion, better if you can make notes, your own notes. Not everything that I tell you, but at least some keywords, titles, subtitles, explanations of new words and all that. If you can take down notes, you will not lose important areas of the discussion, right? Get into the habit of having pen and paper with you and making notes of the discussion, okay? And I can see 23 participants. As it is the first day, I will get 5 of you volunteers to introduce yourselves first. Only 5 people today. It's the volunteers. I'm not going to call anybody's name. You can actually volunteer to introduce yourself with your name and the school that you teach, if you're a teacher, and what's the program you're into, like that. Okay. I see 24 participants. So I need 5 of you only. Out of the 24, can I get 5 of you to introduce yourselves? No? Hello?
Hello. Good evening,
Yeah.
madam.
Yes, good evening, dear.
I'm Imaza. I work as an English teacher in Chesterford Tamil Vidyalaya, Rohanvilla.
Okay.
I'm from Maunana.
Right. What are your kind of qualifications to join a school as an English teacher?
I have completed
Mm,
HND in
very
Kerala.
good. Very good. High national diploma. Very good. Okay. Uh, Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Who are the others?
Hello, madam.
Yeah.
I am Mufraza Hussain.
Yeah.
I'm working at Kurivela Hamidia College.
Okay.
I completed my HNDE at SLET.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
That is it.
Oh,
What
okay,
are the
thank
grades
you.
you're doing? What are the grades you're doing?
6 to 9, madam.
Are you an English teacher? An English
Yeah,
teacher?
I am working as an English teacher.
Very good. Okay. Good. Who else?
Good evening, madam.
Yeah.
I'm Jayana Arshikani.
Uh-huh.
I followed the diploma in College of Education for mathematics teachers, and currently I'm working in an international school as a mathematics teacher, and I teach students of grade 6 to 11.
Okay, you will get government appointments, no?
Actually, I got a government appointment, but it was a very far distance from my home place, and I worked there for 1.5 years, but it was hard to manage, so I shifted to an international school.
Is that so? Right, okay. But good to be in the state system because you can actually sit for these SLET exams and all that SLECC, and there's a long way
Yeah,
for you, right? Okay.
yeah.
I also have done the same mistake because I also started my career as a teacher, and I also did the
Uh-huh.
same mistake because of those days recruitments, uh, far away places and all that. I did not take it up, and ultimately I learned what a lot that I have actually lost. If you're into higher
Yes.
studies and all that, if you can do SLECC and all that, කියලා වැඩක් නෑ.
Uh,
Because if you're into a semi-government school, then of course you're not
uh,
entitled for any of those.
okay.
Anyway, I do not want you to regret, but think about it. You can get back. Okay?
Okay, madam. Okay, I'll
Right.
get back.
Okay. One more chance.
Okay.
Hello, good evening, madam. I
Good
am
evening,
Kajal.
dear. Mm.
I followed National Education, College of Education,
Uh-huh.
Mathematics in English medium.
Yeah.
I'm teaching at Mahajana College, Bangalore.
Right. Okay. Then most of
Thank
you all
you.
have done some kind of education related studies, higher national diploma or the diploma from colleges of education. Maybe you're not very new to educational psychology, right? But still, I have a word of advice. And before that, thank you very much for those who volunteer to introduce themselves, right? I appreciate you a lot for that. And then getting back to the educational psychology module, I want to tell you, you have to actually get into the habit of studying on regular basis when it comes to educational psychology. Why? Because lots of theories, lot of new terminology, right? You can't actually wait till the last minute and in the 11th hour think of actually studying educational psychology will not help you much. So on regular basis, if you finish studying what we do this week before you coming for the next week class, it's really helpful for you because that very nature of educational psychology, right, demands you to actually get into regular studies because lots of new words, lot of new terminology, and you can't beat about the bush. Just you know something and just beat about the bush, write something and mm, uh, finish it off. No, you can't, right? You have to be thorough with the subject matter as well. So that is educational psychology. That is the beautiful part of educational psychology. That is how it stands out from the rest of the modules that you have as well. So understand what is needed to be done and then kind of have a plan to work on regular basis, you will enjoy this module, right? Okay, it's interesting facts, but at the same time need to be on regular study basis. Okay, now if I ask you, your subject is educational psychology, right? If I ask you, look at this symbol of psychology, what does it actually indicate? The symbol of psychology, what does it indicate? Here, I'm taking the arrow there. That is the symbol of psychology. What does it indicate or show? As you understand, it may be wrong, it doesn't matter.
Balance.
All right, you're very good, clever. Balanced personality. This is actually educational psychology is all about producing a balanced personality through the education system, right? You all are teachers. Ultimate goal of education is producing individuals with a balanced personality, right? You're going to produce individuals with balanced personality through the system of education. You are part of it as teachers, okay? So that kind of understanding will come to you with this module. So let's see. This is the outline of the today's session. I'm going to discuss with you what is psychology or definition of psychology. Then I will talk to you about this evolution of psychology and then schools of thoughts, right? Evolution of psychology, how it is started. It started and then the present stated, and in the meantime, in the evolution, the emerging schools of thoughts. Then I will discuss the branches of psychology, how psychology branched out and where this educational psychology stands, and definition of educational psychology, your very subject, and scope of educational psychology. This is what I'm going to discuss with you today. Is it clear?
Madam.
Yeah. Right. If I ask you, you have heard of this term, psychology. It is very common now. It is an everyday word now, right? Because everybody knows Manovidya or psychology. But if I ask you, what does it mean, Kela? What have you got to say? What I've got to say?
Madam,
Yeah,
study of the mind and the behavior of the person.
you're correct. Okay, you're correct. What's your name?
Mufraza.
Muzafa. Okay, right. Everyone can give the first name when talking. You don't have to say my name is and all that. You can say Muzafa and you can answer, respond. It's good because we hardly know each other, Nisa. Yes, Muzafa, you're correct. Others? What is psychology? Are you a psycho? Are you a psycho? Others? Nothing to tell? Yeah, with Musafa's explanation, I will get you to look at this, what is highlighted in red. Okay, the definition of psychology by APA. APA stands for American Psychological Association. APA stands for American Psychological Association, the governing body of psychology, right? According to APA definition, psychology is the scientific study of the mind and behavior. Psychology is the scientific study of the mind and behavior. Right? What you said, Musafa, is yes, correct. You said mind and behavior. But psychology has another important keyword in the definition. That is scientific study. Scientific study. So in this definition by APA, American Psychological Association. You can make notes, right? Psychology is the scientific study of the mind and the behavior. There are three keywords. Number one, scientific study. Number two, the mind. Number three, the behavior. Okay. So when you actually have to define psychology, you can quote APA definition and you have to explain the keywords. So we will take the first keyword, the mind. If I ask you what is referred to as our mind, what is our mind? Where is it located, if I ask you? What is our mind? What is referred to as our mind?
Our
Yes?
Our
Thinking.
thoughts, thinking
Yeah,
thoughts.
you're correct. Our thought process. Our mind is our thought process. So you can take down notes. Mind, our thought process. What we think, what we feel, right? What are our emotions? What are temperaments? So our thoughts, emotions, feelings, temperaments, they are our mind. Our thought process is our mind. Is it tangible? Can you locate it? Is it
No.
tangible? Can you locate it? No. If it is your
Ah.
eyes, you can get it actually scanned. You can get it operated. If it is your stomach, you can get it scanned, x-rayed and operated. And if it is your brain, still it can be located and it can be operated on. But mind is not something tangible. It is our thought process, our thinking, our feelings, our emotions, our temperaments. That is our mind. So the mind is not something tangible or concrete. Then how can you study something that is not tangible? Is it possible? Now, if you have a kind of a problem with your heart, the doctors can get a scan, an x-ray, the doctors can operate it, remove it, whatever that they want, they can do. But is there anything like mind? No, it's not tangible. So something not tangible, how can you study? That is a big question mark, no? So how can they study the mind? They look at the behavior of the individual. They look at the behavior of the individual that is observable. You can see somebody's behavior. And that behavior is as a reflection of your mind, your thought processes, your feelings and emotions. I'll give you an example. Now, your thought process, you're hurt and angry. You're hurt and angry. So what is going on in your mind is you are hurt and you're angry. So how it is indicated in your behavior? When you are angry and hurt, will you be talking to everyone full of smiles and in a very jolly good mood? No. You will be kind of looking down, frowning at people, shouting at people, crying and all that. That is your behavior. And that behavior we can observe. When we observe that behavior, we can understand what is going on in your mind. She's hurt. She's angry. That is why she's shouting at people. That is why she's actually crying. And then we interpret the mind by looking at the behavior. Because behavior we can see, we can observe. And by looking at the behavior, we actually come to know what is their thought process, what is going on in the mind. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Then there is another keyword, that is scientific study. Not just study, but scientific study. What is meant by scientific study? Now, you can look at somebody crying. That is the behavior. And you can interpret it as she is weak. She is hurt. She is angry. Killer. You can interpret. But interpreting the mind by looking at the behavior cannot be haphazard and random. Cannot be haphazard and random. Just because that you think you can't interpret the mind by looking at the behavior. So psychology has theories, concepts formulated, and you apply these theories and concepts formulated in psychology, and accordingly that you interpret the behavior to know what is going on in my mind. It is not just haphazard and random as you think that you can interpret the mind. Okay? You may go wrong because there's no scientific ground. But instead, the psychology is full of theories, and you apply these theories and try to interpret the observable behavior to know what is going on in their mind. So it's a scientific approach, and it becomes scientific because psychologists, they don't just formulate theories and concepts. It is not just formation of theories and concepts. To formulate theories and concepts, they conduct experiments or studies or research. Experiments, studies or research that they conduct. How? Longitudinally and cross-sectionally. Longitudinally means longitudinally means same sample over a long period of time. Longitudinal studies. One set of individuals, and you keep them as a sample and conduct experiments over a long period of time. That is longitudinal, right? So experiments are conducted with a sample, with a set of students or children or individuals, human beings, and it is conducted over a long period of time. That is longitudinal studies. Cross-sectional studies. Cross-section means at the same time, different samples to test or examine something. A hypothesis is tested or whatever. Different samples at the same time. So that means lots of experiments or research have been conducted before formulating theories and concepts in psychology. So it is not haphazard, it is not random, it is scientific study because of that. And these theories, concepts in psychology, which are formulated after conducting lots of research, longitudinally and cross-sectionally, are used to interpret the observable behavior to know what is going on in the mind of the individual. That is psychology. Are you okay? Are you okay? Do you understand? Hello? Why no response? Is it difficult for you to understand? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand? I asked you a question, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Others? We have several.
Yes, madam.
26
Yes,
of
madam.
them, right? Okay. So listen to the recording again. Try to actually write the definition and explain it. The three key words in it: behavior, which is observable; And behavior is an interpretation of the mind or the reflection of the mind, which is not tangible, and it is actually interpreted. The behavior is interpreted to know the mind through the theories and concepts in psychology, which are formulated by doing lots of research and experiments. That is it. Okay. Now we go to the second subpoint. Now I discuss what is psychology. It's done. Put a tick. Now the second subtopic for the day. Second subtopic for the day is evolution of psychology. Evolution of psychology. What is meant by evolution then? Evolution is the past, from the past to the present. Evolution. How it started and what is the present situation. That is evolution. So we are going to look at evolution of psychology. Right? And psychology is relatively a new science, happening over the past 150 years or so. Actually, psychology became a separate field of study. Psychology became a separate field of study when, you can have a look at the slides. When did it become a separate field of study? In 1879. In 1879. How did it become a separate field of study? Father of psychology, Wilhelm Wundt. Father of psychology, Wilhelm Wundt, established the first psychology lab in the Leipzig University, Germany. And then from that day onwards, psychology is regarded as a separate field of study. That is the humble beginning of psychology, okay? That is the humble beginning of psychology in 1879. Wilhelm Wundt, father of psychology, established the first psychology lab in the University of Leipzig in Germany. And there onwards, psychology became a separate field of study. And before that, right, what we discuss in psychology today, they were discussed, they were actually studied, they were the topics in philosophy and physiology or biology. Some areas are covered in philosophy. Some areas were actually discussed in biology or physiology. But Wilhelm Wundt, with the establishment of the first psychology lab in Germany in 1879, made psychology a separate field of study. That is the humble beginning. That is the humble beginning. Are you okay? Is it clear to you?
Yes, madam.
Right. So we have discussed the definition. Now we looked at the humble beginning or the evolution of psychology. But evolution of psychology does not stop there. Now you know from 1879 to date, right? From 1879 to date, what was happening there in the evolution process? We can actually discuss it under, right, this. Major perspectives, approaches, or schools of thought of psychology. Right? Major perspectives, if not approaches, if not schools of thought of psychology. In the process of evolution, starting from 1879 to date, right, there were different gangs of psychologists, different gang of psychologists, if not different cult, C-U-L-T, cult of psychologists, emerging time to time, and they established their own school of thought in psychology or their own perspectives or their own approaches to psychology. So first we will look at the 4 major schools of thought emerge time to time. It doesn't mean there are only 4. These are the major ones. There are others as well, but we are looking only at major schools of thoughts or major perspectives. What are the 4? Can you read? Then I will explain what they are.
Psychological perspective, behavioralist perspective, humanistic perspective, cognitive perspective.
Thank you. Psychoanalysis, behavioristic, humanistic, and cognitive perspectives or schools of thought, right? So what is this school of thought or perspective or approach? You need to know. Now, psychology is the study of the mind through the observable behavior. Scientific study of the mind through the observable behavior. But in studying the mind through the observable behavior, right, psychologists belong to different schools of thought which emerge time to time, had their own set of assumptions or beliefs, right? If you take behavioristic psychologists, they actually studied the mind through the observable behavior, believing that our behavior is the result of our interaction with our environment, stimuli. So believing in that, based on that assumption only, that they actually studied the mind through the observable behavior. So if you take psychoanalysis school of thought or perspective, their set of beliefs or the assumptions about how to study the mind through the observable behavior, their focus is different. Humanistic perspective, their focus is different. Cognitive perspective, their focus is different, but all of them were studying the mind through the observable behavior. But still, their set of focus or the assumption or the belief that was different. So we are going to take one by one and see what are their set of beliefs, and accordingly what is their school of thought means. So before I actually talk about their set of beliefs, the 4 major perspectives, do you understand what I'm telling? Is it understood? It's like this, right? It's like this. Now you have Ayurvedic medicine. So Ayurvedic medicine is cure. You find a cure through herbal products, or it's a herbal treatment. Okay, so it's common to everyone, herbal products. But there can be a set of Ayurvedic people, those who actually use kasaya, concoction. There can be another set of Ayurvedic doctors, those who cure illnesses through herbal products, but they don't believe in concoction. It's instead that they believe in oil treatment. That is another set of Ayurvedic doctors. There can be another set of Ayurvedic doctors. They actually give you a lot of oil treatment. Likewise, the same thing that they do, study the mind through the observable behavior, but their approach, but their set of beliefs, their school of thought is different from each other. I hope that you got it, because you don't respond. You have to tell me before I explain the 4 assumptions, what I'm telling you, what is meant by assumption or school of thought. Is it clear to you, Kela?
Yes, madam.
Only one is responding. Others are silent. Yeah, please at least respond. It's politeness, no? Right. Others are the other. Hello?
Yes, ma'am, we could understand.
Okay.
Yes, madam.
Now I will take, now I will take the first school of thought. Now Liaganda Pole. Behavioristic perspective. What is the first school of thought? Behavioristic perspective. Behavioristic perspective. Okay. Now Liaganda pen and paper you have, you can write it down. Behavioristic perspective. That is the school of thought we are discussing. So what is their set of assumptions? What is their belief? What is their focus in studying the mind? Okay, behavioristic perspective. Right. Okay. Now, if you look at behaviorism, behavioristic perspective, that school of thought, they actually studied the mind through the observable behavior, believing or focusing or assuming that our behavior is our interaction, our behavior, how we behave is the results of our interaction and our dealing with the environment. It's our response to our environment. So I repeat, we are talking about behavioristic perspective, behavioristic school of thought. So they study the mind through the observable behavior, believing that our behavior is a result of, individuals' behavior is a result of their interaction with, their dealing with, their response to the environment. So now you have to know what is meant by this environment. It is not the trees and the sky and the moon and the sun and the animals and all that. No. In psychology, environment is everything not within us. Everything not within us is our environment. So my family is my environment. My siblings, my husband, my daughter, they are my environment. So my neighborhood is my environment. The religion you practice is your environment. The customs and traditions of your society is environment. Political system of the country is your environment. Education system of the country is your environment. Everything not within us is our environment. So according to behaviorism, we interact with our environment and we deal with our environment. We respond to our environment. That is how our behavior is formed. Right? So psychology is studying the mind through the observable behavior, believing that our behavior is the result of our interaction with our environment. That is our dealing with our neighbors, parents, siblings, friends, colleagues, customs, traditions, religion, culture, etc. Is it clear to you?
Yes, madam.
Right, okay. Then go to, so who are the pioneers of behaviorism? Who are the pioneers of behaviorism? J.B. Watson, B.F. Skinner, Ivan Pavlov are very well-known figures in behaviorism, behavioristic school of thought. Right? So I discussed one of the school of thoughts, major ones, behavioristic perspective. So behavioristic perspective, that school of thought, that those psychologists, behaviorist psychologists. I told you the pioneers, J.B. Watson, B.F. Skinner, Ivan Pavlov. right? They believe that our behavior is a result of our interaction with our environment. Environment is everything not within us. I explained. Okay. Is it okay with you if I move on to the next?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Are you making notes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam, we are making
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah. Thank you. Then we'll go to the next one. Another school of thought, right? Psychoanalysis perspective. Psychoanalysis perspective or psychoanalysis school of thought. If not, you can say psychoanalysis approach. So psychoanalysis psychologists also study the mind through the observable behavior. There's no difference in it. That is yes. But believing that our behavior is here. Our behavior is determined by the unconscious mind and the childhood experiences. We behave like this as adults because of what is stored in the unconscious mind as our childhood experiences. That is what they believe in. That is what they believe in. Sorry, Appa. That is what they believed in. They don't talk about we are responding to the environmental stimuli, our neighbors, our culture, our traditions, and all that. No. They don't assume on, they don't focus on that. They don't ground their uh, uh, belief on that. Instead, psychoanalysis school of thought, the psychologists from that school of thought, psychoanalysts, they actually studied the mind through the observable behavior, believing that, the set of assumptions, okay, believing that we behave like this, individuals behave like this because of what is stored in the unconscious mind, which are our childhood experiences. Which are our childhood experiences. Now, the pioneer is Sigmund Freud. Pioneer is Sigmund Freud. We have Erikson as well as a well-known psychoanalyst. So what? Now, when it comes to psychoanalysis school of thought, right, that is for the very first time, right, that this new knowledge was added to psychology. It brought in a revolutionary change to the field of psychology, because before psychoanalysis school of thought, right, psychologists were studying the mind, but they were not aware of the fact that our mind has three components. Our mind has three parts. They were not aware of it. They were studying the mind without knowing. Ayo, background noise is very difficult, Puta. Without knowing that the mind has three components. So this was a revolutionary knowledge added to psychology. Psychoanalysis said our mind has three components. Our mind has three components. You were studying the mind, but you were studying only one part of the mind. But our mind has three parts. And our behavior, now we look at the observable behavior now. So our behavior is like this because of what is stored in the largest part of the mind, which is termed as the unconscious mind. In the unconscious mind, what is stored there in the unconscious mind is irrational thoughts and libidos and desires, which actually led to conflicts. Our childhood experiences, which led to conflicts. So they formulated theories, right? They formulated theories to discuss what is stored in the unconscious mind and how it affects the adult behaviors. That is the psychoanalysis school of thought and its focus. So there are theories that we discuss, two of them from the psychoanalysis school of thought. I can talk to you further about these three parts of the mind here, because that is actually assumed by the psychoanalysis school of thought pioneered by Sigmund Freud. They think, they believe, they assume that our mind has three parts. To talk about the three parts our mind has, they make an analogy. A comparison. They make an analogy or a comparison. That analogy or the comparison is, our mind is compared to an iceberg. Our mind is compared to an iceberg. You can see this picture. You know what an iceberg is. So what are the three parts of our mind? Conscious mind, pre-conscious or subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. You can take down the three parts of the mind as said by psychoanalysis. Our mind has three parts, revolutionary knowledge. They only actually assume like that. And according to them, our mind has three parts: conscious mind, pre-conscious, PRE, pre-conscious mind, and unconscious mind. And to understand it better, they actually make the analogy, comparison. Mind is compared to an iceberg. So look at the first part of the mind, conscious mind. Conscious mind is compared to the tip of the iceberg, what is above the sea level. Tip of the iceberg, what is above the sea level. Tip of the iceberg, what is above the sea level of the iceberg. That is our conscious mind. Okay, conscious mind, tip of the iceberg. According to psychoanalysis, our conscious mind is only less than 10% of our whole mind. Less than 10% of the whole mind. Very small part. Less than 10% of the whole mind. So what is stored in the conscious mind? What is stored in the conscious mind is the thoughts, emotions, feelings, temperaments that you are aware, and that is, they are actually in the right at the moment. Right at the moment, you have thoughts, feelings, emotions in your mind, and you are aware of it. That is your conscious mind. Right? I repeat, in the conscious mind, you have the thoughts, feelings, emotions, temperaments, what is going on right at the moment in your mind, and you are aware of this. Now you're hungry and you are aware of it. As you're hungry, you are angry with the lecturer. You're aware of it. It's going on in your mind right at the moment. That is our conscious mind. Okay? Thoughts, feelings, emotions that you are aware of going through your mind right at the moment. That is the tip of the iceberg, what can be seen above the sea level. Similarly, what is going on in your conscious mind, you're aware of it. You're aware of it. Okay? As the iceberg, tip of the iceberg can be seen. Less than 10% of the whole mind. Okay. Now the irony is, psychology is the study of the mind. But until this psychoanalysis talk about the three components of mind, psychologists were studying only the tip of the iceberg, only the conscious mind, a part less than 10% of the whole mind only. That's the irony. That is why psychoanalysis brought in a revolutionary change into the thinking of psychology. Okay. Then we go to the second part of your mind. The second part of your mind is, what is the term I gave you?
Pre-conscious mind.
Very good. Pre-conscious mind. In some books, subconscious mind. Okay. That is compared to the seen through part of the iceberg. Seen through means that part is underwater, but from the surface you can see the blurred part of the iceberg. Seen through. You can see through it, but not very clear. That part of the iceberg is compared to the preconscious or subconscious mind. Similarly, what is stored in the subconscious mind is, or the preconscious mind is, right at the moment they are not there in your mind. Right at the moment they are not there in your mind. But once pricked, P-R-I-C-K-E-D, they are recalled. They come back to your surface mind. They are recalled. For example, I gave you this definition of APA on psychology. As I actually mention it now, you can recall. There are 3 key terms in it. That is the definition. Otherwise, right at the moment, you are not thinking about it. But once I asked that question, I pricked it. We discussed the APA definition and it comes back to your mind. That is your preconscious mind, which is also only less than 10% of the mind. Which is also only less than 10% of your whole mind. Okay? So the thoughts, emotions, feelings, experiences, and temperaments, which are not right at the moment in your mind, but can be recalled once pricked, is your preconscious mind. Psychology books have a nice example for you to distinguish between conscious and preconscious mind. Now, conscious mind, thoughts, emotions, feelings, right at the moment in your mind and you're aware of it. Preconscious, thoughts, emotions, feelings, right at the moment they are not there in your mind. Once pricked, it's recalled. Right? Both are less than 10% of the whole mind. The example from psychology book is, right, it's little bit of spicing up that I'm telling you. Right. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. So you actually go to campus and you want your girlfriend or boyfriend to give you a surprise. So you're waiting for the surprise as it's your birthday. Now you meet each other at the canteen. He has forgotten your birthday. Wow. Now you're hurt, you're sad, you're disappointed, you're angry with him. And you're aware of your feelings. That is your conscious mind. And all of a sudden, you start thinking of your ex-boyfriend, how he gave you a surprise maybe 2 years back, what you got from him, what he gave you, what was it like? Because it was not there right at the moment in your mind. You hate him. He let you down. But still, once pricked, it is recalled. It comes to the mind. That is your preconscious mind. Are you okay?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. So now I call you later in a lecture. I call you later. Hare. And then that is your preconscious mind. Don't know. And then you know you have the third part of your mind, revolutionary information. Before psychoanalysis, they were studying the mind, only the tip of the mind, conscious mind only. They were ignorant about the existence of the preconscious and the unconscious mind. Okay, you can imagine what revolutionary finding was it Kela. And then the third part of the mind is the unconscious mind. As you can see, if you compare it with the iceberg, it is what is underwater. The part of the iceberg which is actually sunk in water. And you can't see that part of the iceberg. Similarly, our mind also has this unconscious mind, and you and I do not know what is stored in the unconscious mind. As the iceberg, that part cannot be seen. We don't know what is stored in the unconscious mind, right? That is more than 80% of your mind. Unconscious mind is more than 80% of the whole mind. And you and I do not know what is stored in the unconscious mind. So according to psychoanalysis school of thought, what is stored in the unconscious mind is irrational thoughts, libidos or the desires, unsolved conflicts of childhood experiences. And we as adults, you and I as adults, don't know what kind of conflicts, what kind of unresolved conflicts, desires, libidos, irrational thoughts are stored in the unconscious mind. But our behavior today as adults is due to all the three components of the mind. And the biggest part is the unconscious mind. So psychoanalysis school of thought, those psychologists, they formulated theories by doing studies cross-sectionally, longitudinally, to talk about what is stored in the unconscious mind. And you look at the adult behavior, and then your adult behavior is a result of all the three components of your mind. So the biggest part is the unconscious mind, and your adult behavior is a reflection of your unconscious mind as well. So what are the connections? How can you interpret this adult behavior, right? Connecting it to the connecting to the experiences stored in the unconscious mind. That is what psychoanalysis school of thought have done. In your syllabus, you have Sigmund Freud's psychosexual theory of personality development. In your syllabus, you have Erik Erikson's psychosocial development. So they discuss, look at the adult behavior and see what is stored in the unconscious mind. Because you and I don't know it. If it is the conscious mind, if it is the preconscious mind, we know. But we don't know what is there in the unconscious mind. So psychologists, psychoanalysts, they say, this is what is stored in the unconscious mind. Yeah. Right? That is why you behave like that. Just to mention a small example, if you are overly clean, there are people, those who are very particular about cleanliness. It is a trauma for everyone. All the time cleaning, washing hands and all that. That adult behavior, according to psychoanalysis, is due to what is stored in the unconscious mind. It's an unresolved conflict. It is an unresolved conflict. And if you are biting your nails as an adult, if you are into drinking, if you are addicted to drinking as an adult, it can be due to what is stored in the unconscious mind as a conflict, unresolved conflict of childhood experiences. So they are discussed in the theories that they formulated after doing experiments. You got that?
Yes, madam.
Right. That is the psychoanalysis perspective, existence of the unconscious mind and how it affects our adults' behavior, the importance or the crucial impact of childhood experiences of the individual. So they are discussed in their theories because that was their focus. Okay, with that, pioneered by Sigmund Freud. So Sigmund Freud is referred to as father of modern psychology Why modern psychology? Psychology actually went topsy-turvy with these revolutionary findings. Before them, they were studying the mind, only the tip of the mind, only less than 10% of the mind they were studying. Ironically, psychology is about studying the mind to the observed behavior, but only less than 10% they were studying. So because of that, with his findings, it is a revolutionary change into psychology. He is termed as the father of modern psychology. Okay, so we are yet to know more about these theories, but that is one of the schools of thoughts in psychology. Okay,
Yes, madam. Okay.
we'll go
Yes,
to, yeah, we'll go to the next, cognitive psychology, another school of thought. The four major, there are others as well, but we are looking at four major. Cognitive psychology. What is cognitive psychology? School of thought. They don't actually focus on environmental, our dealing with our interaction, our response to the environment is the cause of behavior. No, they don't focus on that. The existence of the unconscious mind and the unresolved conflicts and childhood experiences. No, they don't focus. They don't focus on that. Instead, cognitive psychologists also study the mind through the observable behavior, but focusing on or believing in the internal mental capacities of the individual. I repeat, internal mental capacities of the individual. What are internal mental capacities of the individual? Sensations, the information we receive through the five senses. Sensations, information we receive through the five senses. Perception, how we actually give meaning to what we see, what we hear, what we taste. This is actually sweet. This is a very beautiful smell. This is a red color frock. This is music, piano music. Like that, what we hear, what we see, what we taste, what we receive through the five sensory organs, we give them meaning, that is perception. And then we commit them to the memory. We store them in the memory. We retrieve them from the memory to solve problems, to think logically, to create new things, and all that. They are our internal mental processes. So cognitive psychologists actually grounded their understanding or study of the mind through the observable behavior, believing that our behavior is a result of our internal mental processes. We behave like that because of what is going on, but because of our internal mental processes like sensation, perception, memory, retrieval of memory, and problem solving and logical thinking. That is what they believe in. So they don't actually talk about unconscious mind. They don't talk about our dealing with the environment. No, they focus on our internal mental capacities, what we receive as the information through the five senses, how we pay attention, how we give meaning to them, and how we store that information in the memory, how we retrieve them when we want to actually think logically and solve problems, etc. That is their focus. So we have theories from cognitive school of thought as well. Are you okay with the discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay. Then, what is the last school of thought? Can one of you remember?
Humanistic.
Humanistic. Very good. You're making notes. Thank you. Humanistic school of thought. We will look at humanistic school. Now, who are the pioneers of cognitive psychology? internal mental capacities of the individual, like sensation, perception, attention, memory. Jean Piaget, pioneered by Jean Piaget. Because we have theories from cognitive school of thought as well. Okay, so you have to keep that names in mind. Because we have lots of theories. Beautiful. But you have to study on regular basis, right? So we now go to the fourth major, that is humanistic school of thought. Okay, humanistic school of thought. What is their set of beliefs? They also study the mind through the observable behavior in psychology. But their set of beliefs or assumptions differ from the other three. Pioneered by Carl Rogers. You can see pioneered by Carl Rogers, father of humanistic psychology, right? He says they don't actually look at how individuals interact with the environment and behave. They don't look at how individuals behave because of what is going on in the unconscious mind. They don't focus on the internal mental capacities like sensation, perception, attention, memory, etc. But instead, they have a very different approach or a set of beliefs. They say, humanistic psychologists pioneered by Carl Rogers, they say, right, our behavior is the result of our self-concept. Our behavior is the result of our self-concept. I repeat, our behavior is the result of our self-concept. What is self-concept? What is the meaning of self-concept? What we think of ourselves. What we think of ourselves is our self-concept. What you think of yourself, what you think of, what I think of myself, that is our self-concept. So our behavior is an interpretation of what we think of ourselves, believing in that only that they study the mind of the individual through the observable behavior. We behave like that because of the self-concept that we have, what we think of ourselves. So according to humanistic psychologists, human beings are born innately good. Human beings are born innately good, naturally good. But if you take psychoanalysis, they say we are born bad. We have irrational thoughts. We have libidos. We have desires. That is psychoanalysis school of thought. Humanistic psychologists are against it. They say human beings are born innately good. We are born good. Naturally, we are born good. But what happens in the course of living and experiencing life? Right? We actually we lose our goodness we are born with. We lose our goodness we are born with. Why does it happen? Because we don't develop a positive self-concept. What we think of ourselves is not always positive. We tend to develop a negative self-concept. What we think of ourselves sometimes gets negative in the course of living. Why do we develop a negative self-concept instead of a positive self-concept if we are born innately good? It's because of lack of unconditional love. Lack of no unconditional love. I repeat, unconditional love. Unconditional love. Love is not just love, right? Acceptance, recognition, and everything, right? Unconditional love means we are accepted by others for who we are. We are accepted by others for who we are. But hardly it happens. Hardly it happens. We are not accepted by others for who we are. Instead, they impose their own kind of expectations on us. For example, your own loving parents, right? Your self-concept is, your innate goodness is that you're very good in music, you want to enjoy music, you want to do something with music, and you have to live with music. But your mom says, Puta, you have to be an engineer, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer. Then only the society respects you. Then only you will earn money. Then you know what you innately want is to pursue music. But you're not accepted by your parents for pursuing music. They have some other expectations. Then you know you're not receiving unconditional love. There's a condition. Pursue higher studies in medicine. There's a condition. So that is not unconditional love that you receive. Even from the society, it's the same. Media, right? They say, if you want to actually find this job, you have to actually have long hair. Advertisements misleading. So you have only short hair. So you think, I'm not accepted, I'm not good, I have short hair only. Because the jobs are given to people with long hair. And you develop a poor self-concept. You don't receive unconditional love. You lose your positive self-concept and develop a negative self-concept. Right? So you are unhappy. You will not be fully functioning individuals or self-actualizers. We will be discussing them in personality theories. So for the time being, you can actually keep in mind that humanistic psychologists rejected behaviorism, rejected psychoanalysis school of thought. Instead, they focus on a set of assumptions, that is developing a positive self-concept for them to become fully functioning self-actualizers, happy individuals. And for them to actually become happy individuals, fully functioning individuals, by developing a positive self-concept, what they think about themselves should be positive. It can happen if they receive unconditional love only. But even if your own parents love you so much, it's their ignorance, right? It's their love. They don't give you unconditional love. We are victims of this materialistic world. So we have actually lots of things imposed on us. So we are not accepted for who we are by others, by our own family members. So you don't receive unconditional love. When you don't receive unconditional love, you develop a negative self-concept. What you think of yourself becomes negative. I'm not good if I don't do this. And that negative self-concept will not allow you to be a self-actualizer or a fully functioning individuals. That is the feeling or the assumption of humanistic perspective, and how it affects your personality. We will be discussing it under personality theories. Hope it is understood, little bit of it, at least the 4 major schools of thought, how they differ from each other, you understand.
Yes, madam.
What do you say? What do you say?
Sorry?
Do you understand at least a little bit of, or at least the basic ideas of the 4 major schools of thought?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, you will understand it better when we discuss theories from different schools of thought, right? So we have theories from behaviorism, classical conditioning, operant conditioning, Thorndike's laws of learning. We have theories from psychoanalysis school of thought, Sigmund Freud's psychosexual theory, and Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory. We have theories from cognitive school of thought, Piaget's cognitive development theory, Gagne's 9 events of instruction in your syllabus. And we have theories from humanistic psychologists, that is Carl Rogers' person-centered theory and Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. Okay, so that is why this introduction is given to you. Different schools of thought having different perspectives or assumptions, but they all study the mind through the observable behavior. Okay, okay,
Yes, madam. Okay.
right. Now we will look at this. Now what we discussed so far is definition of psychology, evolution of psychology, the 4 major schools of thoughts, and now branches of psychology. Branches of psychology. Okay, branches of psychology. Okay, let's see. Now looking at branches of psychology. Yeah. Now your subject is educational psychology, not psychology. Right? Your subject is educational psychology. So psychology is about studying the mind through the observable behavior. So if you know the mind, your mind and others' mind, what is going on there, why it is like this, so you can easily deal with people. So human beings are social animals. In whatever we do, in personal life, in social life, in academic life, in professional life, it's a matter of dealing with others. It's a matter of getting along with others. So because of that, psychology, everybody became interested in psychology. If you're a teacher, it's a matter of maintaining relationship with your students. If you're a doctor, it's a matter of maintaining relationships with patients, basically, and the colleagues, other doctors as well. And if you're a lawyer, with the clients. If you are a teacher, with the students. And if you are a manager, with the subordinates. It's actually maintaining relationships and knowing each other. So if you can understand what is going on in the mind of the others and what is going on in the mind of yours, your own mind, this is facilitated. So because of that, everybody became interested in psychology. And because of that, it actually expanded like nothing. It expanded like nothing. And all the areas covered in psychology cannot be taught to each and everyone. So because of that, what is needed by the teacher is taught to you in educational psychology. What is needed by the doctor is taught to a doctor in some other branch of psychology. What is needed in what is needed for the counselors, right? Counselors, it is taught to them in clinical psychology. If you are a manager, what kind of psychology is needed to you? It is actually covered in industrial psychology. Likewise, it is actually narrowed down for the purpose of feasibility of discussing it with the relevant parties. So you have one of the branches of psychology, that is educational psychology. That is your subject. As you all are teachers, what kind of psychological concepts and theories are applicable to your teaching and learning and in the educational process? they are actually taken and formed to incorporate into educational psychology, right? So we are going to look at what educational psychology is. We are going to look at what educational psychology is. You know what education is, and then you know what psychology is, and then we will see what educational psychology is all about. Okay? Can I take a 1 or 2 minutes break until you read what is education? And then you can tell me what is education. So read the first box. What is education? It's a break for me to 1 or 2 minutes. And then you can explain me what is education as given here. So please go ahead. Okay, now, can you tell me what is education as given here? What is this word education derived from? Where is it derived from?
From the Latin word,
Ah, yeah, it is a word derived from Latin. What is the Latin word? Educare or educere. Educare and educere, the two Latin words. What do they mean?
Bring up.
lead out.
Very good. Lead out or,
Bring up.
yeah, that is it. Lead out or bring out. Okay. So ultimately, you can actually combine the two and say, educate. The meaning of the two words is leading from ignorance to knowledge. Leading from ignorance to knowledge. Leading out from ignorance to knowledge. Ignorance is not knowing. Knowledge is knowing. So from not knowing to knowledge, you lead out the child. That is education. You actually lead the child from ignorance to knowledge. That is education. Okay? That is the meaning of the word education. So how do you do that? Right? Lead the child from unknowing to knowing, ignorance to knowledge. How can you do that in education? If not, what are the concerns? What are the related concerns in this process of leading the child from unknown to known, ignorance to knowledge? How can you do that? You have to use appropriate methods of teaching, approaches, techniques, motivation, um, understanding individuals, learning styles, intelligences. They are related matters. They are related matters in guiding, leading out the child from ignorance to knowledge. You have to use appropriate techniques, approaches, methods, motivation strategies, instructions, assessments, right? Development, personality development, etc. in the process of leading out the learner from ignorance to knowledge. So when you combine the concerns of education with psychological theories, they become the actually area of educational psychology. So as educational psychology is a combination of psychology and education, you can see, you look at concerns of education like teaching, motivation, development of personality, how to assess individual differences. They are the actual concerns of education. They are seen through the lens of psychological theories. They are seen through the lens of psychological theories. And that is educational psychology. That is termed as educational psychology. So if you look at Woolfolk, he defines educational psychology as the discipline concerned with teaching and learning process, applies the methods and theories of psychology, and has its own as well. Right? Anything related to education like teaching methodologies, motivation, development of personality, understanding the individual learner, they are all concerns of education, and they are seen through the lens of psychological theories. Then it is the area of educational psychology. Hope it is okay, right? You can read this further. Now, scope of educational psychology. Scope කියලා කියන්නේ implications of educational psychology. How educational psychology is going to be useful for the teacher. I have some video. We will actually for a change watch one of them. And you can make notes while watching it about the scope or the uses or the implications of educational psychology. And we will have a further discussion afterwards. Okay? Right. So I open the link. Make notes, right? This is about what is educational psychology. So you can actually watch it and come to know what is educational psychology and discuss it with
these ideas
that you can see and hear.
Grammarly.
You could see and hear.
I've got your back.
Yes.
All right, okay.
Oh, cool.
Over the years, educational psychology has been an important course in teacher preparation. But, what is educational psychology about? The word psychology is derived from two Greek words, psyche, meaning the mind, soul, or spirit, and logos, meaning discourse or to study. In combination, psychology is the scientific study of mind and behavior. O'Donnell and Levin define educational psychology as the development and application of psychological principles to education, as well as the adoption of psychological perspectives on education. In simple words, educational psychology is the study of how people learn. The world's changing faster than ever. Today's educational system is highly complex. There is no single learning approach that works for everyone. There are many factors contributes to students' learning and development. But do you know, among these factors, which contributes the most to the student's learning and development? The answer is you, the teacher of the students. As a scientific discipline, educational psychology aims to provide teachers with research knowledge that teachers can effectively apply to teaching situations, and with research skills that will enhance teachers' understanding of the factors that influence student learning. Over the 100 years, the focus of textbooks in educational psychology had undergone some significant changes. Today, educational psychology textbooks often discuss about topics, namely learning, development, differences among learners, different teaching methods, motivational theories, and how to assess students' learning. The content of educational psychology contributes to the professional knowledge base needed to become an effective teacher. To teach for understanding, teachers are expected to equip with a set of professional knowledge. We can't teach what we don't understand. Good understanding towards knowledge of content is essential. Second, teachers must possess pedagogical content knowledge, and understanding, of how to represent the topics in ways that make the content understandable to students. Knowledge of learners and learning is the third type of professional knowledge. It is arguably the most important knowledge a teacher can have. Teachers need to know how children develop cognitively, socially, and physically in order to make decision on what are the appropriate content to teach. Teachers also have to aware how students learn, and how their individual differences can have impact on their learning. Lastly, teachers are also expected to have the general pedagogical knowledge, which involves an understanding of instructional strategies and classroom management that apply to all subject matter areas and topics. Educational psychology provides insights into how we all learn and develop. If you know how to apply what you learn from educational psychology in your classroom, it can make important contribution to your teaching.
I couldn't believe that a learning.
Okay, so you got some ideas about the scope or uses or implications of educational psychology for the teacher, right? You can see how important it is for you to actually know educational psychology. So we will have a discussion now. What are the uses or implications? What are the uses? What are the implications or the scope of educational psychology? For that, I will get you to go through your syllabus and then think what you're going to learn in this, because they are the important areas or the related areas for you as the teacher, right? So you can take down the first one, right? Education facilitates the development of the child. Education facilitates the development of the child. Education facilitates the development of the child. Development is language development, emotional development, social development, motor development, cognitive development, all are facilitated by the teacher, right? Education system. So the overall development of the child is facilitated by education. So the teacher who knows educational psychology, she's aware of it, how to facilitate, how development happens, how the child's development happens, and how to facilitate it. The teacher comes to know it because she knows educational psychology. So that is one of the scope or implications of educational psychology. Child development, how the child develops and how to facilitate it. You come to know it because you know educational psychology. That is our next unit, child development. Okay, what aspects and how it happens and how to facilitate it, we are going to discuss. So that is one of the scope of educational psychology, because you know your education, so you know it. That is it. So next, how our internal mental capacities or cognition works. How our internal mental capacities or cognition works. That is one of the areas of educational psychology. So when as the teacher, you know how the cognitive development happens, how the cognitive processes work, how to get them to pay attention, how to get them to commit information into memory, how to get them to store information in the memory for the facilitation of retrieval. May okkuma educational psychology the scope. So you're benefited. As you know how the cognition works, what the cognitive process is, you can actually facilitate the cognitive process in your teaching and learn and get them to learn better. That is another implication or a use. Then you go to the next one. Okay. Because of your knowledge of psychology as teachers, you will come to know what personality is all about. Right? You will come to know what personality is all about. What are the characteristics of a good personality? How to get the learner to develop their personality. Identify their personalities, understand their personalities to maintain a good rapport. You will be able to do that because you cover a area related to personality. So ultimate goal of education is also producing individuals with balanced personalities. If the teacher doesn't know what personality is and how to get the learner to develop a good personality, what are their characteristics, how can you facilitate the development of personality? So educational psychology informs you about different aspects of personality so as you are aware of it, you can facilitate the development of the learner personality. Further, psychology teaches you how learning happens, different perspectives. So when you know how learning happens, right, different perspectives, you can easily facilitate the learning process. So psychology covers that area as well. You come to know how learning happens according to different schools of thought, and accordingly that you will apply them and facilitates the learning process. So that is another scope of educational psychology. And motivation, right? Nothing will happen if the child is not motivated. So motivation is a responsibility of the teacher. So you come to know it's not there in the PowerPoint, dear Sumaya. It's just a discussion. And at the end of the day, when we finish the module, we will discuss it again because what we cover in this module is the scope of educational psychology, right? So I'm introducing to the content of the module through the discussion of scope of educational psychology. Once the module is covered, we get you to reflect on what is done and see how educational psychology is useful to the teacher. So because of that, this is just an introduction. Once the module is covered, you come to know it better. The areas covered, they are the users, and you can reflect on that. Okay? Is it okay?
Okay, madam.
Yeah. Then motivation is the role of teacher. You have to motivate your learner. If you don't motivate, they will not learn because motivation plays a big role in learning. So if the teacher knows what strategies can be used to motivate the learner, because of your knowledge of educational psychology, you will come to know, and then you will make use of these motivational strategies to in the learning teaching process to enhance their learning. And that is another use of educational psychology. Okay. It's another use of educational psychology. Then you can come to know the individual differences of your learners. All are not the same, right? One size will not fit everyone. So because of that, the teacher has to understand the individual differences of the learners. They have their different learning styles. They have their different intelligences, right? If the teacher is not aware of them, you will not be able to cater to each and every child in the class. So what are their learning styles? What are their intelligences? You have to be aware of it. You have to be aware of it. And that awareness is given to you in educational psychology. So of course, what I discuss is the content of your module. So we are starting from child development next week. We will discuss development theories. And then we come to cognition, how the mental processes work. And then we come to learning, different learning theories, what they talk about, how students learn, right? And then motivation, and then personality. They are all covered in your module. So at the end of the day, that is the scope of educational psychology. You can reflect on what is covered and comment on that. Is it understood? Is it understood? Yeah.
Yes, madam.
Now,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we don't have to actually get to a new topic because we have only another 10 minutes. So this is the time for you to, because you're very silent, only very few are responding. It can't be, you all are my students in the class. So we can actually discuss anything. So are you there? Can you open your mouth and just tell me something whether you understood or not? But it's going to be like, please have the courtesy.
Madam, I understood the today's session very well and it was very clear.
Who is this?
Jayana. I'm Jayana.
Thank you, Jayana. So where do you teach, Jayana?
I teach at OKI International.
OKI International, I have heard of it. Is it in Colombo?
Yes, in the Western Province, there are like 5 branches and I teach at Kaduela branch.
Okay. So you're from Kaduela?
Yes, madam.
Yeah. Thank you, Jayana, for responding. Otherwise, I don't know whether you understand or what. It's very difficult for me. Others? Others?
I could understand that. Actually, the
Who is this? What's your name?
I'm Jennifer.
Yeah, Jennifer, can you talk about yourself a bit?
I'm teaching at Republican International School in New Delhi, ma'am.
Okay, how long you have been a teacher?
It's been 3 years now, ma'am. I teach science and
Okay,
history subjects.
right, okay. Good. Then who are the others who would like to talk? You can't keep silent forever. So Jaina spoke, Jennifer spoke.
Madam, Angajani
Yeah.
server. I understood today's session very well. Thank
Okay.
you.
Are you a teacher?
Yeah,
Where do you teach?
I am teaching at Mahajana College, Patigalo.
Okay, what do you teach? What's the subject?
Mathematics in English medium.
Okay, good, good. So you are a Pythagoras.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
right,
Okay.
okay.
Thank
So
you,
good.
madam.
Yeah. Then others?
Good evening, madam.
Yeah.
I'm Shastra from Mavanalla.
Okay.
I understood your session very well, madam. And
Yeah.
if I see the recording once again, that will be very useful for us.
Yeah. Talk
I'm a
about
teacher
yourself.
and yeah, I'm a teacher. I teach at St. Mary's Etienne Hotel.
It's a government school, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's a government school.
Uh-huh. So you are a
I
product
completed
of,
my yes.
yeah? Yes?
What were you supposed to ask, madam?
No, you were telling something. You completed what?
Yeah. I completed a diploma at the College of Education
Uh-huh. So
Bachelor.
psychology is not a new subject. You were taught
Yeah, madam,
psychology
it's
there.
not. Yeah. But I learned in Tamil medium.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah.
Yeah. But you are teaching English medium students, right?
No, Tamil medium science.
You're teaching Tamil medium science. Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Right.
But I
One more.
studied from 6 to 13 in English medium.
So language is not a problem for
Yeah.
you. So why didn't you get into
That's the
English
reason I'm
medium?
following.
Why didn't you get into English medium education?
Yeah, I didn't get first. I applied for both English medium and Tamil medium science. First,
Yeah.
I got for the English Tamil medium. So I joined it, and after that, only on waiting, I got for the English medium. Yeah, after that, I didn't again have to change all the registrations and everything, so I didn't follow that.
Yeah, okay. No problem. Right. And then one more student. Right. Now I have a word of advice because no time to actually start the new unit. So your second unit is child psychology. In child psychology, we will look at child development. So we have 5 theories of child development to be discussed. So psychology is all about theories, So they actually, you have to study and get to know the terms, and you can't just think and write. Because of that, get into regular basis study. Maybe each and every week, maybe 2 hours would do, maybe 1 hour would do. What is feasible with you? Have a plan and get into regular studies. That is a must, because from next week onwards, we will be starting theories. So I'm going to start with Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Okay, then after that, it's all theories. I will tell you what the theories are, just to actually pass time till 9:30, because no time to discuss anything else. You have Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Then you have Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory. Then you have Sigmund Freud's psychosexual theory, Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory, right? Then Kohlberg's moral development theory, all theories. So they have their own terminology, own subject matter, right? Then the third unit is cognition. In cognition also we discuss Gestalt laws of perception and stage model of memory. So they are all theories, okay? Again, we will talk about learning. In learning also, there you have theories. Classical conditioning by Ivan Pavlov, operant conditioning by B.F. Skinner, and then Gagne's 9 events of instruction. Then Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, Bandura's observational learning. And then you have motivation. Under motivation, we have only one theory we are doing. That is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And then you have personality. We are covering 2 theories. Eysenck 3-dimensional personality model. And we will talk about Carl Rogers' personality theory. So how many theories? You will get mixed it up if you don't get into regular studies. But if you get into regular studies, that is going to be one of the most interesting subject area, as you saw it in the video. More than anything else, what matters in education process is the teacher. So if the teacher is kind of a professional who has the knowledge of educational psychology, you can actually easily facilitate the learning process. So that is the ultimate goal of this module. So be a professional, know your psychology, apply them in the classroom, and facilitate the learning process. Okay, anything before we stop? Anything before we stop? No. I will send you the materials through the campus and by Monday. Okay?
Okay, madam.
Right. I can
Okay,
send
madam.
you the materials, but the recording you have to access it from the campus. Right? I will send you the PowerPoint slides that I use through the coordinator or somebody through the campus, and you have to access the recording. I don't know, through the LMS or whatever, I don't know. Right then, thank you for being in the class. So I hope next week that you will be more interactive, right? And until then, okay, bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you, madam. Good night.
Thank you, madam. Bye.
Yeah. Right.